Alright, so what we got here is we're gonna run over the fiberglass. We put one coat on it a couple days ago, a rough coat, and we're gonna get it to start taking the shape that we want it. We'll run over it down here where I welded it down here and got it hot. Make sure I dig it back out down here just in case anything tries to let loose. Make sure I can get it off of there. Sand it over. I'll just blow the dust off of it. Make sure I get the dust out of all those little cracks. Blow it, let it sit a minute, and then blow it again. We'll cut the fan on here. The stuff don't stick to dust. It don't matter what it is. If you put a layer of dust up under it, it's not going to stick. I'll just dig them out. I want to make sure I got a good filler where it needs to be. If you got a little teeny pinhole, you know, it's a good possibility that there may be something else up under there that's not solid. If I see a spot that I think is a bad spot, I'm going to take it out. I'm going to take it all the way out. See this little crack right here? This may be some air or something back there behind it. I don't know. It feels pretty solid, but I'm going to gouge out a spot of it just so I can see, make sure that it is solid and there's not loose material back there behind it. I can always feel it back in. I want to make sure it's no loose material back there behind it, because if it is, you'll put something over the top of it and you'll think it's a, you know, 1/8 of an inch thick or a little more, 3/16, and it'll be just a hole up under it. It's like not a good foundation. We want to make sure we're sitting on solid ground when we start putting stuff on here. We just want to make sure we're going to stick and stay right here in this corner. I can't get my sander right there in that corner, so I'm going to go there, dig all that out, because this got hot. When I was here welding in this little filler panel, I already had put some filler on here, and it got hot right there in them corners. Same right here on this corner. You can see where it's got hot, and it's potentially going to be loose up under there. So if you just leave it on there, it may be a problem that causes you something later on down the road. So we're going to take it off. We're going to take it all the way off. All right. I got a little something right there. I might need to grind it down. Let's see if we can grind that little spot down on that corner a little bit. You sure it ain't gonna rain? It cooled off. I think there's some water in the air somewhere. See how cool it got? You don't feel how cool it got? It got cool. There's some water around here somewhere. Looks like over there. Look like it's gonna rain to me. I don't know. I reckon we'll see. It's raining somewhere. So we're not really going to do a whole lot of work on this thing here today. I got a few minutes and I wanted to get some fiberglass spread over it. That way it'll be good and hard when I do get ready to come back. All I want to do is dig that little bit of metal out of that corner. All right, that should be good. So we'll mix us up some fiberglass filler, and this time here when I spread it on, the first time I spread it on, I weren't really being that precise with it because it didn't really matter. It was so much that you had to form. You weren't going to get it all the way close the first time, so I didn't worry about being super precise with it. This second coat will be a little bit more precise as far as putting it on. And what we got here is some Duraglass USC 24030 fiberglass filler. You don't feel it cool down? Dang tornado may come over the corner there. Tore up my little hood, all that work I done put in it. Huh? A tornado come through here and take the whole dang table. Yeah, I need to get me a little screwdriver to open this thing up with. This stuff here, we ain't it's super hot out here today, so I'm gonna back off of the hardener just a little bit. Give me a little bit more time to work with it. It still get hard, but give me a little bit more time. The hotter it is, the more harder you put in there, the faster that mess get hard. Just make sure you mix it up good, all one color. And I know I got a low spot right here in the middle of this fender here. I can tell. I don't have to go quite as hard on the outside. You have to work pretty fast with this stuff because once it reaches a certain point, it won't allow you to pull it smooth. So if you've reached that point with it, when you reach that point, you best off just to leave it. Don't try to smooth it no more. Just leave it and get it the next go round. So if you get some on something you don't want it on, just get the majority of it off. You'll be able to get the rest of it off when it gets hard. We'll just go back and pull some of the lines out of it. You can tell it's already tightening up. This is why I had it thick right here. I want to leave it thick in the middle because I got a dip out there on that edge. For some reason, I got a dip out there. I heal me up a little bit on my corners so I have something to play with when I get ready to sand it to try to round them a little better. All right, so that's going to be about I go ahead and fill my little weak spots in there where I had holes I dug out. I can go ahead and fill them in. Make sure you pack it in there good. Just about like you would if you was finishing sheetrock. Just make sure it gets packed in there good. Wipe your excess back off. Same thing there. I got one. We'll go ahead and pack them in. If we got some little holes, we'll go ahead and just like you would spot nails on sheetrock. Just go ahead and fix them little holes, and you come back with your next coat, you can smooth them out. I think we had a couple on the other side. I dug out. That way you make sure it gets mashed down in there and you mash the air and stuff out. And you mashing it in there hard. You just smooth it over the top of it and let it float. You ain't necessarily packing it down in there. And it's about reached this working point here, so we'll let it go ahead and tighten up what we got. We'll mix this up some more and we'll spread it on a spot that we ain't spread it none on. Let me get my spreader. It's cooled off a lot out here within about 20 minutes. It looks like a storm's getting ready to come up. It went from being When you walked out the door, you couldn't hardly breathe. So it almost feels pretty good out here. All within about 20 minutes. And it got dark, so I know there's something around here storm-wise. All right, so that ought to be pretty good. So what we want to do is just go ahead and bring this on down here. That's almost getting tacky, so we'll go ahead and start here, and we'll go ahead and bring it on across. And you have to kind of, when you're spreading that anything, when you're spreading it, you ain't just spreading it on there, but you're kind of using your hand to put more pressure and lighten up pressure where the stuff will stay where you want it to stay, and you can smash it down and drag it out where you don't want it to stay. So you ain't just putting it on there, just dabbing it any kind of way. You can't really see it, but when I start out at the edge, I got more pressure over here, and as I come in the middle, I lighten the pressure up so more will stay in the middle where I got the dip at. And then when I get back on the edge over here, I'll put more pressure down. So I don't build this side up no higher than what it is. That's not what I'm looking for. I got a dip in the middle, and I got the sides are a little high. So what I want to do is fill the middle and stay away from my sides. And you don't want to put no more than you got to, because then you got to get it off. So the more you put on there, the more you got sand. All right, so we'll go ahead and make sure we get us some into here so we can mold this into one piece. Well, it's already one piece, but we want it to be a smooth transition here. We don't want to get got high. Take some of it down so you ain't got to sand as much. This stuff here ain't as easy to sand as regular body filler. It sands a little harder, but it still ain't too bad. If you gotta, what I want to do is kind of leave me a good bit on that corner, so I got something to roll with. Because this corner was kind of had a sharper edge on it than what I wanted. So I'm gonna build the rest of it out fiberglass. And I'm gonna also build the center of it up a little bit because I want it to kind of go back in as it gets to the bottom. I don't want as much on the bottom as I got in the middle. I want it to come out. I want it to come out in the center a little bit, and then I want it to curl back in at the bottom. So I want a little small radius on it, but I want it in the middle. So I'm gonna put more in the middle. Piece of trash. You see a piece of trash in there floating around, go ahead and get it out. You don't want that. I come here and I'll just kind of taper it up on the side where I'm leaving some in the middle. And I come back on these sides as many times as I want until I get it where I feel like I want it at. Once I get it where I feel like I want it, then that'll be good. But this filler here is already past the working stage, so we're going to flip the paper over and Get us a little more. Same thing here. I won't put it quite as much. Give me a little time. And if that sun hadn't went in a while ago, it would be less time working with it because it was so hot out here a while ago, it'd take your breath just walking out the door. I can't deal with all that heat like that like I used to when I was a little bit younger. I get out there and work in it all day long. No lunch, hardly nothing to drink. But the older you get, I don't know if you get wiser or what. Health's going down, but you just can't deal with all that heat like that. Not not all day long. I mean, you can take it in a little spell here and there, but you just can't deal with it like that. So this over here, I don't really need to be messing with the side over here when I got a big old glob of filler, because that right there takes too long. I need to go ahead and get the majority of the filler spread while it's workable, and then come back and play with that side when I'm almost done. Yep. So I still got a hump right there. That was a bad spot when we was working with the fender metal. Uh, that was one of the worst spots that there were. But it's some trash. Once I feel like I got about where I need it, I'll go ahead and try to get it as flat as I can with the spreader. Now, that makes it easier to sand. That don't mean that if you don't get it flat that you can't work with it. You can. It just makes it a little bit harder to sand. I just want to kind of take a little spell, and I can tell it's already getting unworkable. And it don't take long, but you'll see it. It'll happen quick. It'll go from easy spreading to, let's go back over here on this corner. It'll go from easy spreading to where it don't want to spread. And if you got something little, that's when you need to hurry up and go ahead and take your stuff over there where it's at. Don't try to spread that clumpy mess on something where you know good and well you ain't gonna be able to get it halfway flat. That's why I said I would come back to this over here when I got almost to the bottom, right before it goes bad. We'll come here and we'll leave that. We'll let that get hard. We'll go back on something else. We just keep right on moving. Those spreaders, they get hot as this stuff is curing. It gets hot on them spreaders. And the hotter it gets, it'll make that spreader go from being kind of rigid to real flexible. Then you'll get all kind of little highs and lows in there. So when they hot like that, I don't even use them. And when they get, you know, where they're super flexible, I don't use them because it's hard to keep it straight. It's hard to keep it straight once it gets too flimsy. It's like you're trying to spread it on there with a piece of paper. So, and that heat is what does it. As cheap as those spreaders are, I mean, if you got something where you're gonna be spreading a lot of filler, you're best off to have your handful of them. That way you can trade them out. Like I can leave them over there and let them get hard. And once they get hard, I'll come out and break that stuff off of them. And if it still feels like something I want to use, I'll use it depending on what I'm using it on. But this here is a long radius, so I don't want to use nothing super flimsy until I get it about formed the way I want it. Once I get it formed up pretty close, then I could use something a little flimsier. But right now, I don't want all that flimsy stuff. We can see we got a big old. I try to always hit my holes that I can visually see a big hole to start with. Go ahead and get something in it. And then I'll try to make me a visual in my head. So when I come back, I don't apply a whole lot of pressure right there where I'm putting this at. Even though I got over it again, I won't apply a whole lot of pressure there. So I had a pretty big little hump here. And I might even let that get hard before I go back over it again. Because sometimes when you put a good amount in there, even though you don't put a whole lot of pressure on it, dragging it back across it, it tends to want to grab it and drag it out of there anyway. So it's probably, if you ain't got a whole lot of experience putting this stuff on, it'd probably be best to let it go ahead and get hard in your low spots and come back and go over the top of it again. I got a little bit of experience spreading it, you know, from when I was younger, messing with this stuff a lot. I don't do it much no more, but like I said, I don't want to really come up on the sides a whole lot to start with right here. I got a little dip in the center I'm trying to get out. You can tell it's starting to get unworkable here. Just that quick, it went from workable to unworkable. We'll use some of it here on this edge. Just like the primer, you want to build you some of it up so you got something to work with, something to shape. If you just put barely enough on there, you know, what you need, you ain't got nothing to play with. You ain't got nothing to cut down. So let's put a little extra on them edges. The same thing here, we'll mix up enough and run across this edge good. While that's tacking up hard enough, because I want to run that sander across it, just on the where I join it together before I put another coat on it. I remember back when I was 15 or 16 years old and trying to mess with fixing little dents and stuff, having to try to sand it with your hand uh, with a block. That's all you had. And if you mess around and put a whole lot of it on there, you had to sand it all off with a little old square block. It weren't no fun, especially until you got it cut down, you know, about where it was all level. But you got a power tools, it makes life more simpler. Anything power tool. So, them old timers back in the day that, you know, lived in the mountains and cut trees with axes and beat pegs in wood. I mean, them fellas really work. These boys get out here now with automatic tools and, you know, excavators and all kind of stuff, power, everything, the best of the best. Uh, and they think they're working. I mean, and they are working to an extent, but they don't have nothing on them old timers. Them old timers put in the work. They had a lot less to work with, and uh, they still managed to get it done. They would have loved to have some of the stuff that they got to work with now. No, you cut it off. I told you. When it's hot like that, you can't predict. Anything can blow up. I remember when I was building that house, it would be pretty and sunny. All of a sudden, like a dang hurricane was coming across here. Yeah. You especially don't want to gob a bunch of mess up in the corner. Because most all that there is going to be hand sanding. Get something on there. You want to smear it off somewhere you can't get. You want to go ahead and smear some of that mess off. There's some steel down there. I just welded on there. I'm going to have to take it off with a grinder, but we didn't come out here to do a bunch of work this morning. We just come out here to go ahead and put this filler on here. You can see how this is being used and how that heat distorts. It makes it a little thinner, makes it a little more flexible. Once I get it, this coat here, this will be the last coat with this fiberglass filler. And I'll finish it out with some regular body filler. I don't know what happened there. We'll come back to it. Same thing here. I want to build this middle out a little bit. Center. And there's different videos of when this thing started as regular, just pieces of scrap sheet metal. And this is heavy gauge steel for these fenders. I knew I weren't going to be able to bend it the way I wanted it because I don't mess with steel all the time, and I ain't got anything heavy duty enough to bend, you know, something quite that thick. Uh, but I knew with experience I got that I could still be able to come back and get it, you know, perfect round the way I wanted it, even though the metal may not be perfect round. So I weren't really too concerned about that. But what we want to do is kind of bend this trowel out. I'll bend it in the middle like this here and just kind of roll it around. To kind of leave me something, you know, on the top, bottom, and in the middle. And if I have to do it more than one time, then I'll do it more than one time. A lot of times it takes more than once. When you're trying to accomplish something, you don't necessarily do it all at once. It's accomplished over several different attempts. But that's what I'm looking for. I'll come back and come back on the bottom here. Kind of blend me something in with it. When I come back on this bottom, I'll just kind of lean my putty knife on the outside. I won't dig all the way down in there. I'll just kind of lean it on the outside and leave a little gap there. And this stuff's fixing to get unworkable, I can tell. Just off of that last little pull there. It's getting ready to be unworkable. Need a little bit more in the center here. We don't have enough mixed up right yet, but all right. So we're gonna have to put multiple coats on this side to get it where I want it. And there is a couple spots right here I didn't like where it hit. You got my cord unplugged? I'm gonna just take this sanding wheel on this grinder and knock this chunk of mess down here. I'm gonna knock that back down so I can get another smooth coat across there, because even though you smear something on it, you'd never get back up in all them cracks. Same here. All right. Come up a bit of rain here. I knew it was coming. Yeah, like I said, I'm just trying to round that edge some. Go ahead and get it to start taking the shape. And I round it. The high spot there and the low spot there. So it's getting ready to be unworkable. Just like that. If you pick up a piece of trash in there, it's going to drag a groove over your whole show. So. All right, so we're going to call that, we're going to call that a second coat. And I can tell my sides trying to roll around like I want it. I still got a little dip up here. I got a little dip back here. And so it still needs some work. But we didn't come out here to work on it today. We just come out here to spread a little bit. That way when I do come out here, I don't have to spread it. I don't have to wait on it to get hard. I can come out here and cut air compressor on and go ahead and start shaping it back down. So we're going to go ahead and get out of here for the day. Catch you next time.